Welcome everyone to the Webtoon YouTube channel, and welcome back to Webtoon Versus. We are gathered here today to answer an interesting question. Between Empress NAVIER Trovy and MEDEA Solon, which one would win a battle for the throne? Today we will show one thing, that NAVIER, the Empress of not just the Eastern Empire, but the first ever Empress of the Western Empire, is the obvious winner. NAVIER's strengths outweigh her weaknesses. She possesses the skills required to dominate the land of politics, and displays many character traits required to be a good leader. Even in NAVIER's lowest point, right before her divorce, she cares more about the empire she's cultivated over the years and puts it above her own self-interests, proving herself to be a strong but empathetic leader.
Shy, I gotta disagree with you, my man. MEDEA is not someone that will stop at just a little wall in the road to obtain her ambitions and goals. She is willing to shed blood for what she wants. That is the first feeling you get when you see MEDEA as a character. But despite all of these things deep down throughout her journey of your throne, she has become a very sweet and kind person, and you could say even redeemed herself to a degree thanks to her actions within the story.
I think a great part of your throne is watching MEDEA's transformation into being someone good, watching her redemption arc. But we're still in the middle of watching that redemption arc, because a lot of her actions, like you said, have ambition because they're almost always personal or selfish. NAVIER is a good person. MEDEA isn't a good person to be a good person. She's a good person to try to fix the mistakes that will cause her reputation to go down the drain.
But does that necessarily mean that you're a completely good ruler? Even if you're compassionate and kind, does that not mean that people might use you and might even take your kindness for granted? There's multiple periods throughout the story to where she is unable to understand people that are very close to her and what they're doing and what movements they're making around her. Let's do a hypothetical. If these two characters were, let's say, landlocked, but let's just say their current resources and territory were put side by side, who would win and how would they interact with each other?
MEDEA has advantage in war, that's most definitely. But in every other instance, NAVIER has that advantage. NAVIER has a lot of solid allies. She has a good amount of noblemen and noble women, which is what MEDEA actually really struggles with.
But MEDEA is someone that always is strongest when she is shoved into the brink. She may be cold and frigid, but she does show passion when it is needed to be.
Sure, her reputation has gotten better, but while it's been getting better for her, NAVIER has been getting IRL experience. She has years of being on the throne, which is something MEDEA, sure, she just became Duchess, but she still has a long time to go before she catches up to where NAVIER is right now.
Which leads into a very interesting question I have for you. If both characters, let's say NAVIER and MEDEA, were to be transported to their different series, so let's just say they completely swapped roles.
Oh, okay.
How different would the story be, and would they have gotten as far as they currently are within the story?
So if NAVIER was put in the exact same positions, like there are multiple cases where she probably would have died. But the interesting thing is, I think she just wouldn't have found herself in those positions to begin with.
But let's just say she doesn't die. How much would this affect her? I feel like if we take a look at just the effect that MEDEA's Nana did for her, and when she died thanks to MEDEA's father, I feel like the effect of that death would hurt NAVIER even more so than MEDEA. If there is any care and love she has shown, is definitely to her Nana that
100%.
died. And I feel like NAVIER would break down completely to the point where she would never be able to recover.
One thing I've noticed is that the series are actually really similar at their start. They both have a moment where they lose power, and we see a flash forward into after they lose that power. NAVIER gets divorced, MEDEA loses the competition to marry the prince, and it's funny seeing how they both react to those moments. NAVIER spirals for a couple days, which is fair. She spent her whole life studying for this position, and then she lost it. But she's able to compose herself. She's able to work out plans for the future, and she's able to actually go out and interact with more foreign nobles. And even that's how she gets to be the empress of another nation. Meanwhile, MEDEA spirals for 3 years. 3 years of her spiraling and even trying to plan the death of someone she considered a close friend. The difference I think here is NAVIER wouldn't have found herself in the situations that MEDEA does in her storyline.
But let's talk about if, MEDEA was in your throne. It is obviously a much gentler world. It is definitely nowhere near as dark and as much bloodshed within it. And I think if we put MEDEA in that state, she would be a very kind person because she wouldn't have family or parents that would throw her under the bus for ambition or not to feel guilt. Because let's say they retain their personality, I think MEDEA as an individual would actually raise Rasha's child if she truly was infertile. She is willing to play the long game if it means to benefit her in the end.
Yeah.
And so if she has to care and raise a child, she would. She would set aside everything for her main goal.
You know what I find really funny is that MEDEA's wish to play the long game, if she was in the Remarried Empress, would prevent her from reaching the goal she had, which was to be written down in history books. NAVIER will be written down in history books as the first ever empress of the Western Empire, because it became an empire on her wedding day. If MEDEA didn't seize that opportunity, she would be raising a child that wasn't hers. She'd be married to, let's be frank, an idiot, so the issue. She would have failed to reach her goal because she clung so hard on to the power that she couldn't see any other option.
There is a question that has been in my mind since the beginning of this video, and I was thinking about it after reading both of these series. Could MEDEA and NAVIER be friends? Is that even a possibility?
I honestly think they could have been close. They could have been on the same team. Maybe not as close as MEDEA and Psyche are in the series, but I think there would be a certain level of respect that, for example, NAVIER and Rashta don't have. It would lead to maybe not the best friendship in the world, but to, I think, a good, decent acquaintanceship.
I actually agree with that statement completely. I feel like it would definitely spark both characters if they were to meet with each other to grow as individuals.
Easily.
I feel like, MEDEA would learn to be a little bit more compassionate in how to be proper as an empress.
Yeah.
While I think NAVIER would learn a little bit more from MEDEA about how to be a little bit more cold when actually she needs to be. And I think in a way they would mutually work together for the benefit of just the kingdom itself if they truly were, in the same kingdom and in the same high court.
That's right. But despite our bias, both of these are amazing characters in amazing series. We leave it up to you guys to help us figure out who actually won this debate.
All of you in the comments right now, if I am wrong on my points of view and you think that NAVIER would technically win and is a better empress, do let me know. I am legitimately curious.
And we'll see you next time for the next verses.
You will have a wonderful day or night.
If you liked what you saw here, make sure to check out the first Webtoon verses on Get Schooled and Teenage Mercenary.